Hi, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody is having a great, blessed day, Thursday. It's raining here in Michigan again. It's kind of cool outside. This is the coldest June that I've seen in a long time. Michigan, Michigan, Michigan. I'm telling you. Mm-mm-mm. Boy, I tell you, this weather up here is something else. Anyway, I want to talk about this video topics is, are you prepared to die? Are you prepared to die? Are you? That's a good question. Are you prepared to die? A lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people don't think about, but sure as we're born, we're going to die. That's just a reality. That's a reality. It's a sad, unfortunate reality, but it's a reality. It's a spiritual reason why we do die because uh, Jehovah God didn't create us to die. He created us to live forever. The original two people that he created, Adam and Eve, they were created to live forever. They wasn't created to die. But he told them not to eat of the tree. They were disobedient, and they let the devil deceive them into eating the forbidden fruit off the tree. So because they were disobedient, they they got sick and they died. You know, they lived long enough. They lived for many, many years because they lived long enough to populate the earth because they had to populate the earth. So Jehovah God allowed them to live long enough to populate the earth. And when they successfully populated the earth, you know, had quite a few people. Then, they got old and they got sick and they died. But that was not Jehovah God's original intent. His original intent was for them to live forever. We were supposed to live forever. And because we are the descendants of Adam and Eve, we are Adam and Eve's descendants. We inherited that. We inherited that. We get sick and we die. So as a result of that, death is not natural. Even a very, very old person that dies is not natural. Because we wasn't created to die. We was created to live forever. Because Adam and Eve were disobedient, they brought sickness and death on us. That's why we have people get sick and they die. So that's a harsh reality of life, is that sure as that we're born, we will die. We will get old, and some people get sick when they're young and they die. You know, because sickness can come on you at any age. There's little children that are born with cancer. Uh, we have lost so many millions of people to cancer. I've lost people in my family to cancer. I hate cancer. I hate that disease. So we've lost so many people to cancer. So unfortunately, that's a sad reality of life, is that we're all going to die one day. And the question is are you prepared to die? That's the question. Are you prepared to die? A lot of people don't like to think about it. I don't like to think about it. Who wants to think about death? Nobody wants to think about death. So a lot of people, because they don't like to think about it, they like to postpone putting off making preparations if in event of their death. Because not only are we subjected to sickness, we are subjected to what the Bible calls unforeseen circumstances. There's unforeseen occurrences. The Bible talks about unforeseen occurrences. So we're subject to unforeseen occurrences, which mean that you can die in a car accident. You can die in a plane wreck. You can even be sitting in your house and die in your house. For some reason. Uh, there's a lot of gun violence. We all know that there's a lot of gun violence, and a lot of people. We've lost a lot of people to gun violence. Uh, there's all kinds of ways that accidents are things that can happen. People have died in house fires. There's all kinds of different other factors involved in um, reasons why people die. So you can have an accidental death, which is an accidental death is an unnatural death. If you die of sickness, that's you know what they call natural causes, but it's really unnatural. But they call if you get sick or you die, uh, they say that's natural causes, which means you got sick and died or whatever. Or some people die in their sleep. Some people are not sick and they just die in their sleep. You know. So for whatever reason, we know that um, that possibility is there that one day our family, our loved ones will look up and we won't be here anymore for whatever reason. We pray and hope that we can get as many hours, as many days and years on this earth that we can possibly get. We like to hope and pray that we can live as long as we possibly can. And during that time that we're living, we pray that we can have a good quality of life, which means that we won't be subjected to illness or whatever. But a lot of people, when they get older, or as you're getting older, your body starts breaking down, different things start happening to your body. But we have to try the best we can to take care of ourselves, to eat right, exercise. We want to prolong it as long as we possibly can. That's the key, is to prolong it long as we possibly can, which means that no taking drugs, no overuse of alcohol or those things like that, which is going to shorten your lifespan. If you drinking, smoking, and all those things, then it's going to shorten your lifespan, and your probability of dying is going to be a lot sooner than what you know that you would have if you hadn't indulged. So the key is that we want to try our best, very, very best, to take care of our bodies so we can put off death as long as we possibly can. That's the key. But then you have those unforeseen occurrences where you could die in a car accident or whatever the situation that is. So we don't know how we're going to leave this earth. We just know that one day we're going to die. That's what we know. Okay. So the question is are you prepared to die? And if you're not, you got to start thinking about it. At any age, it doesn't matter how old you are. We all have to think about it. We all have to think of that possibility, and we have to properly prepare for when that time comes. Some people don't have time to prepare because something happens before they have the chance to do that. Okay? But if you're still here and you still of sound mind, then you have the opportunity to think and think about, okay, how if something happened to me, okay, there's this thing called burial expenses, funeral expenses, and burial expenses. That costs money. It could be upwards anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 for to take your body down to the morgue or the funeral home, and the funeral home has to prepare your body for either your funeral. Some people opt out of a funeral, say I don't want a funeral, just want a showing or whatever. Whatever it is that you request ahead of time, um, and most people don't. Um, Depends. Some people have a funeral right there at the funeral home. Some people have it at the church or whatever their religious organization was. But the funeral home has to go through a process of preparing your body. They have to prepare your body for your family, to view you or whatever the situation is. That costs money. That's not free. Okay. And you got to pay for your casket. You got to pay for your burial. You got to think about your burial plot. Even the tombstone that goes on your top of your grave, that costs money. Everything costs money. It costs money to be born, and it costs money to live, and it costs money to die. Okay? So you're not getting around it. You got to come out your pocket either way you slice it. Okay? It's expensive to be born, it's expensive to live, and it's expensive to die. That's how this system is set up. So you have to think about, and it doesn't matter what age you are, because there's a lot of young folks that's leaving here. It's a lot of young people that are dying, and we're losing a lot of them to gun violence. So unfortunately, a lot of those young people didn't have the opportunity, didn't have the time to um, prepare because they didn't know they were going to go. And then their families are left with the burden of trying to figure out how they're going to bury their loved one. If it's a parent, they have to figure out how they're going to bury their child. A lot of people get on GoFundMe.com and they put a GoFundMe, set up a GoFundMe account, and then people contribute and they donate to the person's funeral expenses. Well, you really don't want to put that burden on your family and friends. You don't want to put that burden on your family or friends of starting up a GoFundMe account and then people have to pay into it for your burial costs or for your loved one's burial costs. You want to prepare ahead of time, just in case. Even if you mothers out there that have young children, they have Gerber has a life insurance policy, or you can get it through your insurance company where you get your car insurance or whatever. You can get your life insurance for your child. If you get life, I know that on my life insurance there was a $10,000 rider for my son on my life insurance. So if you purchase life insurance, they'll put a rider for your child on there a lot of times if you don't purchase separate insurance for your child. So, but Gerber, I know the Gerber company, I think it's Gerber Life Insurance Company, I think it is. I think that's what it's called. They sell insurance particularly for life insurance, particularly for young children. So a lot of people don't want to think about that. A lot of people don't want to think about putting insurance on a child, but a lot of people have had children that have gotten sick and died. It's a reality. A child could die in an accident or any situation like that. You really don't want to have to be worrying about during your mourning process. You don't want to have to be worrying about how you're going to bury your child. And you got to go on GoFundMe and raise the funds and all this kind of stuff. And during your mourning process, you really don't want to have to worry about that. You want to have the money to take care of what you need to take care of. Then you can spend that time um, once you make the arrangements and everything with the funeral home. Then you could, instead of worrying about how you're going to come up with the money, you could be spending time, dealing with the loss of your child. I mean, this is just a reality, okay? And um, you need life insurance, okay? If in event of your death, you need life insurance. Actually, it's a loving provision. It's a loving provision. When you think about it, it's a loving provision for your family members. You don't want to I know when I first purchased my life insurance, that was my first thought that I had in my mind. Do I want that burden to be put on my family? Do I want to put that burden on my kids to have to worry about how they're going to come up with the money to bury me? Do I want to put that burden on my family? No, my family don't have the money. They're not going to have the money to come up with my burial expenses. My sons are not going to have the money to come up with my burial expenses. Okay? So when you really think about it, it's a loving provision. It's a loving provision to make sure that you have your life insurance in place. So if in the event of your death, your family doesn't have to worry about that. You have your beneficiary on there. Sometimes you have a secondary beneficiary. And That person is in charge of making the arrangements and things like that. And that is, they can be at peace, knowing that they don't have to worry about how they're going to come up with the money to bury you. Okay? Because people start these GoFundMe accounts, but then you, if you know that person, then you got to donate, and all these people have to donate, and so many people have to donate to raise funds for someone's death, when that could have been, when that person could have thought about that ahead of time. Okay? So it's really a loving provision. It really is a loving provision, because you don't want to put that burden on your family to have to worry about and stress about. They're already mourning the loss of your death. They're already going to be in mourning, particularly if it's your children. They're going to be in mourning and everything. In my case, I have two grown sons now, and I don't want my sons to be worrying about how they're going to bury me. Okay, I don't want my other family members worrying about how I'm going to be buried. Okay, so it's really a loving provision. I don't want them to have to worry about that. See, so I make sure that I have my life insurance in place so they don't have to worry about that. And that was my initial thought when I first applied for my life insurance. I was like, I don't want to put that burden on my family, to have to worry about it, because we don't know. We don't know. We'd like to live and think that we're gonna, but we don't know. Okay, we don't know. There are people that have woke up today and something happened and they died. When they woke up, they didn't know they were gonna die that day. Okay, who knows that they're gonna die? The day they, on a particular day they wake up. Who knows? But so many people die every day. People die every day. And when those people woke up, they didn't know unless they were terminally ill, they didn't know that they were going to die. Okay? So we have to be prepared. We must be prepared for that possibility. Okay? We don't want to put that burden on our loved ones to try to figure out how they're going to bury us. If you have children, it's a good idea to insure your children, you know, to get your children life insurance in order. So you don't, as a parent, you don't have to worry about if something happens. You don't want to have to be on top of your mourning process. You got to worry about how you're going to bury your child. No, it's not good. On top of that, not only do we have to have our funds in order, but we also need to do what they call a living will. I have yet to do it. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't done mine yet. I've been procrastinating. I've been putting it off. I know when I was in one of my classes one day, I'll never forget. The instructor asked us. I forget which class it was. The instructor asked us, and there was people in this class that was older than me. The instructor asked us, "Do any of you have a living will?" I was like, "Huh?" Everybody kind of just looked at each other. He said, "What? You mean to tell me not one of you in this classroom has a living will?" The instructor was shocked. Everybody just kind of looked at each other. I was like, huh? Yes. So it's a living will is something that you type up or whatever. You have someone notarize it. And that if you do have life insurance, that or money's in the bank or any assets, a house, cars, or whatever, any kind of all your assets that you have, money's in the bank, your life insurance, money after your debt, your burial expenses are covered, and there's anything left. You want to get that in writing. Your estate, as they call it, your estate. If you have a house or whatever, that term just doesn't apply to rich people. Your estate meaning your property, your house, everything that's in your house, your cars, or all your assets, plus any monies that you have in the bank, whether it's $10 or $500 or whatever. Uh, any type of stocks, bonds, or savings accounts. Any monies left over after your burial insurances expenses are taken care of in your insurance. Okay, this living will is to tell your loved ones where you want your estate the house or whatever, where you want those things to go, your monies, how you want it distributed, who do you want to get what or whatever. That explains it. We had two very, very famous people, Prince and Aretha Franklin. Do you know that when both of them passed, they did not have a will? Now, everybody know that Prince had a whole lot of money. He did not have a will. Prince did not have a will. Okay, I don't know. Maybe he didn't realize he was going to go when he did. I was a little shocked because I'm like, okay, Prince was pushing 60 and he didn't have a will. I was really shocked at that. I was like, okay, hmm. Not exactly clear as to why he didn't have a will, but he had a whole lot of money. Now, his family, he had apparently has some siblings. I don't know about you, but guys, but I didn't know anything about any siblings until after he passed. Well, apparently he has some siblings. So now that all his stuff is his money's is they're trying to figure out in court how they're going to distribute his money to his siblings because he didn't have any children, you know. So, and then Aretha Franklin, she was another one that passed, another famous celebrity that had a whole lot of money that passed away, did not have a will. Did not. They said just recently over the last couple of weeks they said they found some handwritten notes, a handwritten will that she had in her house. They just found that. But at the time of her death, she didn't have anything that was notarized. She didn't have a legal will. She didn't have something that was notarized, and she didn't have a will that was set up by her lawyers. She didn't have any legal documents. She didn't have a legal will. Because there's a difference. But they found this handwritten thing, note that she had around the house. But she didn't have a legal will. At the time of her death, she didn't have a legal will. Okay, so at the end of the day, I mean, I don't understand why these two rich celebrities didn't have a will. So it doesn't really matter how much money you have. You may think, well, I'm poor, I don't have anything. If you have a car or you have a TV set or if you have your clothes or jewelry or anything that you have in your house, those are what they call assets. So you do have something. I thought about that one time too, but you really do have something. Everything in your house or apartment, those are your assets. Okay, if you drive a car, that's your assets. Okay, um, so your clothing or whatever. Okay, so we all have something. If you have loved ones, you need to have something in writing to let your loved ones know after your passing who's going to get what. I have yet to do mine yet. I know I've been procrastinating, I've been putting it off, but I'm going to get her done. I'm just like everybody else. I don't want to think about it. And when I don't want to think about it, I put it off. But I got to get it done. You know, these are things that we have to think about before we die. So you really want to prepare. It's not just for old people, but people of all ages. Because you never know what's going to happen. You know, and you want to be prepared so your loved ones are not stuck trying to figure out, okay, who gonna get the house, who gonna get the car. If it's a parent that passes away, you don't want your loved ones to be sitting around thinking about, okay, well, who's gonna get the car if your parents didn't do a living will or whatever, um, or if you pass away. You don't want your kids to be sitting up there fighting over who's going to get your car or who's going to get the house and all this kind of stuff. See, you don't want your loved ones to be fighting over those things, because people do. They fight over stuff. If you don't have a living will, then people, oh, I should get the car, I should get the house and such and such, and people fight over that stuff. But if you do a living will, that eliminates all that. That eliminates all that arguing and fighting on who's going to get what. Okay, it makes it very plain and clear, cut and dry. So that's something that we all have to think about, and that's something that, particularly if you have children, whether those children are under 18 or whether they're over 18. My children are grown, but I got my life insurance. When I pass away, um, you know, I'm still want to make sure that they get a little something. I want to make provisions for my grandchildren to get something. That's me. I would like to have for my children. I would like for even my grandchildren to get something. Okay, so, but that's me. That's me. You know, so that's just something that we all have to think about. It's a loving provision. We all have to think about it. We don't want to think about it, but we got to think about it. It is what it is. Sure enough that we're born, sure enough we're going to die. You have to be prepared for when that time comes. You know, you got to be. We got to think about it. Whether you want to think about it or not, it's a reality. It's a reality of life. We don't know what's going to happen. When it does happen, we want to be prepared. And we want our loved ones to be, uh, we don't want to have to put that burden on our loved ones to bury us, without having to worry about how they're going to afford to do it. It's a loving provision. Okay, hit me up in the comments section. Um, Let me know what your thoughts are on this video. If whatever I said gave you something to think about, marinate on what I said, meditate on what I said, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. I want you, if this is your first time to my channel, I want you to subscribe. I want you to like and share my video. Stay tuned. I have some more interesting video topics coming up. Peace and love. This is Sweet Jill.